So, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It is May 12th, 2014. It's 12:33 in the morning. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch Game of Thrones, The Laws of Gods and Men, stop listening now. Major spoilers, here we go. Stannis and Davos set sail. Dany meets with supplicants. Tyrion faces down his father. Man, great episode of Game of Thrones, and one of my favorite scenes for Game of Thrones happened when we get to see the one and only Khaleesi, Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, the dopest character on Game of Thrones, sitting on her throne, man. And she's sitting in this pyramid type throne that just has so much, oh my gosh, man, this has so much amazing man, symbolism inside of how they placed her in this episode. For me, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. Bring it on. Let's just do it. Okay. And it really was. I think that you guys will really enjoy it, man, if you get an opportunity to check that out, man. Khaleesi's in another realm. She's a queen now, so she acts very differently. And what I love about it is that she actually has the opportunity to really talk to her people. And she takes the time, man. There were 212 supplicants outside that wanted to speak to the queen about issues that were in concerns inside of their village or their realm, okay? And instead of ignoring her people like most queens and kings do, she literally heard all of them, okay? And that's what I really love about that. But before we go into that, let's talk about what happened. We start the episode out, or I guess you could say the scene out with, the Khaleesi scene. You see this little kid, and he's throwing these rocks over this cliff, if you will. He's sitting down. He has a shepherd father, so he's like a shepherd boy, a little shepherd boy. He's throwing these pebbles into the water. The shepherd is sitting there gathering up his flock of goats and sheep. And then all of a sudden, man, the kid throws a rock, and then the rock, instead of landing in the water, because the first couple of rocks, they land in the water, you're like, bloop, bloop, bloop. You hear the, water. All of a sudden, he throws a rock, and you hear this thud. Well, you're like, whoa, what is that? And then the kid starts looking down. He looks down, and as he's looking down, his eyes just become huge. They're like the biggest eyes, like cartoon eyes, to be honest. They get so big. And then all of a sudden, the camera starts panning back, and it backs up, and then all of a sudden, you see this dragon. You see this dragon come up from nowhere, okay? And wingspan as big as a plane. And it's one of Khaleesi's dragons, man, just out there, just chilling. And it's that same, listen to this, it's the same dragon that has the problem, he's the problem child dragon that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, man. He's that dragon that doesn't listen, and he wants to try to bite Khaleesi's head off, okay? He's like, mother, obviously I'm using a dragon's voice, but the dragon doesn't have a voice, so I'm going to use a voice that I think a dragon should have. He's like, mother, I know that you love me, but don't you ever touch me when I'm eating, mother. Don't you ever touch me. Yeah, so that was a little bit of inspiration from Baseball Tale. But anyway, you see the dragon come up. The dragon flies over the kid. I thought the kid was dead, man. But obviously the dragon has a little bit of manners, and obviously it only has, I guess you can say taste for goat and sheep flesh. And then all of a sudden it just literally lights the countryside on fire. It sets a whole bunch of the goats. It actually sets a couple of them on fire, but it grabs just one. And so now it has some nice gyro, you know what I'm saying? And it takes off, man, just to go munch down on some nice gyro, man. I love that. It was really awesome. And then it flies out, man, and then you get to see Khaleesi sitting on her throne, man. And it's amazing to see where a Stormborn has come, man. You know what I'm saying? And you're talking about Stormborn of the House of Targaryen. You know what I'm saying? Now sitting on a throne, I guess you can say almost being worshipped by people. But not really worship, you know what I'm saying? But sitting on the throne the correct way, in a respectful way, man. She has her unsullied to her left and her right. She still has all of the people that made her this powerful by her side, man. I absolutely love that, man. I love that, man. And I kind of want to show you or talk about all of the different, the names, man. You know what I'm saying? Here's all the names. Let me kind of just say this because I love this, man. Okay. Okay, listen. It says, The first of her name, the unburnt, Queen of Marine, Queen of Vendales and the First Men, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Breaker of Chains and Mother of Dragons. Okay, so when you stand in front of Khaleesi, when you stand in front of the Mother of Dragons, when you stand in front of her presence, okay, you have to state the facts, and the facts are telling you where she's come from and who she is today. And it just sits there and it blows your mind, because there's nothing more powerful than this, man. I'm telling you guys, I cannot explain it to you more than that. It's absolutely brilliant. It's breathtaking, man. And then this is what she says, man. After the person introduces himself and he says all this, I guess you can say, like, motivational speeches, and says all of her names and gives her all her glory and worship, man. She says, "Don't be afraid, my friend." I'm like, yo, dude. Yeah, so that's what happens, man. She just says, "Don't be afraid, my friend." And she allows them to speak freely. And then, she allows the person to approach the throne, and then after that, state your concerns, man. And what's kind of crazy, man, is that one of the dudes that are speaking Valyrian, man, he's a goat herder, and then he actually throws down the bones, and he's like, Khaleesi, your dragons did this. And he shows her and everybody that's watching, obviously. He shows them the dead goats, man. They're burned. The ram, it's burned. It's burned to death. Like, it's just black bones. He said it was your dragon. All right. And he said they came this morning of the flock, man, and they burned the flock. And then what she does, instead of, like, obviously she's embarrassed because it's her dragons, okay? She says that she's very sorry, okay? And she says, "I can't bring back your goats," all right? But she will pay the value 3 times over. And it's like, what? No one else would do that, man, except Khaleesi. And that's what I'm saying, guys. When I say that, I really love this character, man. I think that she's the best character on Game of Thrones. I think it's just motivational. Everything that she does is just motivating, and motivates you in, like, so many different ways, man. And I think even her people that are surrounding her are starting to see, okay, this isn't the same type of queen that I've dealt before in the past. It's something different inside the realm. So I think that is what moves her and makes this show so interesting, man. Okay, real quick, man. There was a scene last week or the week before where she's approaching these lands, and she starts to see these little children crucified along the path. And I believe she said there was 263 or 293 bodies or souls, and there was a total of, I think, 300 or something like that. But she takes all of them down, and then she replaces them with the bodies of their masters, the masters that ran the cities and decided to kill all the children, okay? Now, obviously, it's not that many masters. I think there was like maybe 12 or 6 of them. But we see today that the old man, Sir Barristan, yeah, there you go. The old guy I was talking about, I kept saying his name, it's the guy that left the Night's Watch. He said to Khaleesi last week, he said, sometimes it's best that you don't, let me see if I can get this right, or get it at least close. He said sometimes it's best that you don't give justice with wrath or anger, something like that, man, to where, pretty much don't do violence in violence, okay? If you get an opportunity, don't do that. Sometimes it's better to just let them go. Well, Khaleesi, being, I guess, young and thinking that, I think she was just on her, one of those moments where she was like, I'm feeling myself, yeah, I'm gonna do this however I want to do it, B. And there's nothing you could do because I'm Khaleesi, all right? She didn't listen. Instead, she listened to the younger dude, who looks, they look so similar, man. The old Barristan guy looks similar to the other guy. This one has red hair, and then one has white hair. I mean, let's just be honest, but they're both warriors. Anyway, she didn't listen, and she murdered old dude's, she murdered the guy. She murdered all the leaders of all those realms that she captured. All of a sudden, man, we get to see, I guess you can say, what happens with all that murdering and stuff, okay? And so anyway, she actually says, send in the next one. And then you get to see these two guys approach, and you're like, whoa, who is this, man? They look clean, man. They were dressed sharp, man. And we find out that it's the noble Hezdar Zo Lorak, okay? Hezdar Zo Lorak, Hizdahr, and the next one is Z-O, and then the next one is Loraq, okay? And all of a sudden, they get the attention of the queen, okay? And they get her audience, and then all of a sudden, it's like, well, what's happening, man? And then she says, yeah, approach, you know what I'm saying? And let's talk, okay? And then all of a sudden, like, he comes up, and he starts speaking, and it turns out that Khaleesi killed his father. And you're like, whoa, man. And at first you're thinking, okay, well, your father, you know what I'm saying, he was one of the guys that decided to kill all those innocent children. Of course he should die. Well, check this out, man. This dude lays down some knowledge that his father was one of the only people that actually was against that. But the reasoning for the children to be crucified like that was because he was outvoted. And I'm like, whoa, man. So these kingdoms that Khaleesi has been taking over, it kind of lets you, see it, I guess, the other side. And the other side is that all these people have daughters and sons, and they have a sort of hierarchy. They have a government that runs them, okay? And they all have some sort of method to their madness, okay? So we know that in the case of the children being crucified, they were crucified because they were outvoted. And you're sitting here like, whoa, man. So in the end, man, just to make a long story short, because I've talked about this long enough, man, I want to talk about it more, but that's 11 minutes. That's way too long. Khaleesi says, you can take down your father's body and then have him buried honorably according to your traditions. And then everything was good to go, man. It was like, wow. But at that moment, the guy, he tells her, he and you got to see Khaleesi's face. Her reaction is she knows that she kind of messed up, man, because she thought that she had it all figured out. She thought that she had everything figured out and that she was right in everything that she's done so far, which I thought so too. I mean, obviously I followed her. Like I said, I followed her to the grave. But then you start thinking like, whoa, man, power is power, man. And that's what I think is just brilliant about the writing. And then she kind of the guy, the son of the guy that she murdered, kind of gets a little antsy and kind of gets a little buff. And then she kind of makes him, understand, be wise to understand who you're talking to. I'll let you take your father and bury him, but know who you're talking to. I'm the mother of dragons. I will be back next week. And we'll talk about all this good stuff. Game of Thrones, man. Lady Sansa, man. Let's talk about her for just 1 second. Littlefinger, obviously, man, something happened between Lady Sansa and Littlefinger, man. So now it looks like Littlefinger is not going to protect Lady Sansa. And now the crazy Aunt Lisa, whatever her name is, she has Lady Sansa, and she might throw her through that moon roof where, they kind of just throw people down that big open they open up the floor, and then all of a sudden you can throw them down. They fall for like thousands of feet, man, down into the earth, man. I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I hope nothing happens to her, man. But that's what we're looking at next week, man. Anyway, guys, the Hound is back next week, and then Lady Sansa, man. So we'll be talking a lot about that right here. Thanks again for listening, for watching. Pretty much just listening, not really watching, but. If you had a opinion about this episode, or you thought something about it, about the Iron Bank, Reek, Yara, just name it, man. Comment, do all that good stuff, man. Right here. Thanks again.